Goldfish only have a 3-second memory. Despite what you've been told, goldfish aren't brain-dead swimmers forgetting every 3 seconds. They actually have months-long memory and can recognize faces, patterns, and even feeding schedules. In lab tests, scientists trained goldfish to push levers for food and navigate tiny mazes. And weeks later, they still remembered the trick. They even react differently to people who feed them versus strangers. The 3-second memory idea came from lazy pet owners and a 1950s pop science article that made up the number. In reality, goldfish have a surprisingly complex brain for their size, with learning centers wired like other vertebrates. If yours swims to the glass when you walk in, that's not instinct, that's recognition. So yeah, your goldfish remembers more about you than you think.
The Great Wall of China is visible from space. It's one of the longest structures ever built, and one of the most exaggerated. The claim that you can see it from space dates back to a 1930s British textbook, long before anyone actually went there. Astronauts later confirmed, you can't see it unaided. The wall is too narrow, only a few meters wide, built from local stone and clay that blend perfectly into the surrounding terrain. Even from low Earth orbit, it looks like a natural ridge. What is visible are cities, roads, and airports, because they reflect sunlight and have contrast. The wall doesn't. You can pick it up with a telephoto lens under perfect lighting, but that's not naked eye from space. NASA's verdict? No, you can't. It's still a masterpiece of human engineering. You just can't see it from space unaided.
Hair and nails keep growing after death. This one's just creepy, but also a pure myth. Hair and nails do not grow after you die. Your skin just shrinks and dries out, creating the illusion of growth. The cells responsible for fingernails and hair production need oxygen and blood flow, both of which vanish quickly after death. Within hours, everything biological stops. But dehydration causes the skin to pull back, exposing more of the nail bed and hair shaft, which makes them look longer. Early morticians saw that and assumed post-mortem growth. The illusion stuck, helped by storytelling. In truth, the only thing growing in a corpse is bacteria. So when people talk about coffins with long fingernails, they're really describing shrink-wrapped skin and bad lighting.
If you drop a penny from a skyscraper, it can kill someone. Nope, air resistance saves the day. A falling penny isn't a bullet. It's a featherweight coin with drag. Once it hits terminal velocity, around 25 to 30 miles per hour, it stops accelerating and just flutters like a lazy dart. It might sting, maybe bruise, but it's not punching through your skull. The shape keeps it tumbling and flipping, spreading the air resistance evenly. Mythbusters literally launched pennies off the Empire State Building. None penetrated fruit, gel, or even cardboard. For a coin to kill, it'd need to fall in vacuum conditions, where there's no air drag, so basically on the moon. On Earth, the only real danger is getting arrested for throwing things off skyscrapers.
Bulls hate the color red. The matador's red cape isn't a rage trigger, it's a tradition and camouflage. Bulls are dichromats, meaning they see limited color. They can't even distinguish red from green. What actually sets them off is motion, not color. The waving fabric, the human posture, and the roar of the crowd all jack up their stress level. In tests, stationary red cloths got ignored. Moving blue or white ones got charged. The bull versus red myth stuck because it's cinematic. A bright color makes the scene pop. The real truth is that the bull's not angry at the color. It's confused, provoked by muscle reacting to movement. So if you walk past a bull in a red shirt, don't worry. If it moves, that's the problem.
We use only 10% of our brains.
The myth that we only use 10% of our brains is completely false. MRI scans show activity all over the brain, even during rest. There's no dark, dormant 90% waiting to unlock psychic powers. The myth likely came from early 1900s psychology misquotes. William James once said humans rarely reach their full potential, and pop writers turned that into we use 10%. In reality, even simple actions such as standing, blinking, remembering your password involve networks across multiple regions. Evolution doesn't waste energy. Gray matter is expensive to run. You're using 100%, just not all at once. So no, you can't unlock the other 90% of your brain anytime soon. Eating sugar makes kids hyper. Every parent swears it's true, but every study says it isn't. Controlled trials show no measurable link between sugar intake and hyperactivity. The real cause is context. Birthday parties, playgrounds, chaos, excitement. Parents expect sugar highs, so they see them. It's the placebo effect in action. In double-blind studies, kids on sugar-free diets acted just as wild when parents thought they'd eaten sugar. That's expectation bias, not biochemistry. Picture a kid at a birthday party. Most parents would think that they are excited and energetic because of the cake and food they have been eating. But it is actually just the fact they are at a party. The crash after the party? That's just exhaustion.
Cracking your knuckles causes arthritis. It makes sense when you think of it. Constantly cracking the bones in your fingers would negatively affect them over time. But the popping sound isn't bone grinding. It's gas bubbles collapsing inside your joint fluid. When you stretch your fingers, the pressure in the joint drops, forming bubbles in the synovial fluid. They collapse milliseconds later with that sharp pop. Studies tracking chronic knuckle crackers for decades found zero increase in arthritis. The worst you get is mild swelling or a weaker grip if you overdo it. The myth started because people equated loud joint noise with damage. In truth, cracking your knuckles is just joint hydraulics doing its thing. If it hurts or swells, that's a real issue. Otherwise, you're fine.
Touching baby birds makes their mothers abandon them. Bird moms aren't that fragile. Most species have a terrible sense of smell and don't recognize human scent at all. If you handle a chick and put it back, the parents either don't notice or don't care. The myth comes from well-meaning parents who saw a bird left alone and assumed it was abandoned. In reality, chicks often leave the nest early and hop around while learning to fly. Parents feed them nearby. The real danger isn't your scent, it's stress or injury from too much handling. So if you find a chick, don't kidnap it. Just place it back and let nature resume her shift. Humans evolved from chimps. Despite what you think is true, it's actually not. Chimps are our cousins, not our ancestors. Humans and chimpanzees share a common ancestor that lived roughly 6 to 7 million years ago. That ancestor split into two evolutionary lines, one leading to modern chimps and bonobos, the other to early hominins like Australopithecus, and eventually Homo sapiens. Evolution doesn't work like a ladder. It's a branching tree. We didn't come from chimps any more than birds came from modern lizards. The myth stuck because of old linear charts that looked like an ape slowly straightening into a man. Real evolution is messy, full of dead ends, hybrids, and sideways experiments. Diamonds are made from coal. That's the story every school kid hears. Intense pressure turns coal into diamond. Sounds poetic. It's also completely wrong. Coal forms from dead plants buried in swamps, a few 100 million years old and locked in Earth's crust. Most diamonds, on the other hand, are over 1 billion years older, forged deep in Earth's mantle, about 100 miles down, under immense heat and pressure where no plant has ever existed. They form from pure carbon, not fossilized vegetation, and reach the surface through volcanic eruptions called kimberlite pipes. Different material, different process, different era. Only a microscopic handful of industrial diamonds have ever come from coal under lab conditions. So no, diamonds aren't made from coal. They're born from ancient carbon cooked by the planet itself. Sugar causes diabetes. That's the story. Eat too much sugar, get diabetes. Simple, scary, and wrong. There are two main types of diabetes, and neither is directly caused by sugar. Type 1 is an autoimmune glitch, where your immune system attacks your pancreas, wiping out insulin-producing cells. Sugar has nothing to do with it. Type 2 happens when your body stops responding properly to insulin, usually after years of excess calories, poor sleep, stress, and inactivity. Sure, a diet full of sugar can speed that process up by packing on fat and overloading your system, but it's not the trigger. You could say it's the fuel on the fire. The real villain is chronic energy overload, not one food. You could cut sugar completely and still develop diabetes if you're sedentary and overeat. So no, sugar doesn't cause diabetes. Your lifestyle does. Gum stays in your body for 7 years. This one's funny to think about, but again, completely wrong. Your stomach isn't a storage locker. Gum passes through your system almost exactly like anything else you can't digest. It just doesn't break down. The base of chewing gum is made from synthetic polymers, kind of like edible rubber. Your body can't dissolve it, but it also doesn't hoard it. It moves through your digestive tract in a few days and exits the normal way. The 7 years myth came from parents trying to scare kids out of swallowing gum. Unless you down an entire pack at once and block your intestines, gum won't stick around. Opposites attract. This sounds romantic and looks great in movies, but it fails completely in real life. Study after study shows people are drawn to similarity, not difference, having the same values, humor, education, politics, even facial features. Psychologists call it the similarity attraction effect. We like people who reflect us, not our opposites. Sure, a loud extrovert might briefly fall for a quiet introvert, but long-term couples tend to share worldviews and habits. Opposites can attract initially because they're novel, but novelty fades. Friction doesn't. That mixed and matched chemistry usually ends up falling apart. Real compatibility comes from shared wavelength, not polarity. You shouldn't subscribe. This one's common knowledge. It's believed that there's no point subscribing to a channel because their videos will just appear once again on your homepage. But this is incorrect. Subscribing and liking the video gives YouTube even more knowledge about what you are interested in. So, subscribe. Oh, and also watch this video.